This is the first of a two-part discussion on the use of colour and light in two films from the current prescribed list for Junior Cycle English. Spirited Away, directed by Hayao Miyazaki, and Wes Anderson's Moonrise Kingdom.
In both cases, I think they've got really distinct colour design, but in a way that is very much in service of the story rather than purely a kind of like visual trick. Wes Anderson's Moonrise Kingdom, but I guess probably a lot of his work, feels very nostalgic. And in that particular piece, I really love the use of yellow. It's in there, it's the energy, it's the youth, it's the fact that it's summer, it's the fact that it's warm, it's your kind of tinted photograph from 50 years ago. Everything looks like it's from ages ago. I think in a way that isn't even accurate. Like it's in the design that it's meant to look nostalgic. I think even if you'd watched it in the 50s, it would still look a bit nostalgic. So colour in Wes Anderson really stood out to me. The early days of filmmaking have so much in common with animation that they are animation working with photographs. Then the two kind of diverge quite a bit, and then animation makes a huge amount of progress. And suddenly we're back in a world where we're now using 3D models and sets in animation, and they can be lit, and there's camera work in animations, and then there is frankly amazing animation happening in live action film by way of special effects. So both the capabilities of live action film versus animation are now being used interchangeably in films made kind of in both media. And I think it's useful for students to be aware that there are common connotations with colour, but also just to be really open to the fact that we use colour in film that's part of a dialogue. And it's not about what pink means in our culture in general. It's about what conversation pink is having in this particular scene in relation to all the other colours around it. There's a couple of scenes in Moonrise Kingdom where there's Susie and all the boys, or like a range of scouts, and they're all like yellow, greeny, very muted, very desaturated, and Susie's in this pink dress. And I don't think it's about the fact that she's a girl and the visual director thought, girl, let me think, pink, that'd be brilliant, and stuck it on her. I think there's much more you can do with it than that. But it does make her different. It does make her the new element in a scene that's very cohesive. The trees are kind of greeny brown, the boys are yellowy brown, everything's greeny, browny, yellow, and then there's Susie. And she's a completely different colour. So there's, I think, plenty of scenes in both these films where you can pull out individual things and say, well, this isn't just colour meaning something by itself, but this is the colour that relationship has to the rest of it that's telling us something about what the director wants us to think. The other one that struck me in the other film, in Spirited Away, I mean, again, I thought the use of pink in Spirited Away is really interesting. And then obviously when Chihiro has her own clothes and is getting closer back to her own life, she goes green and everything else is pink and all the other staff are pink, with the exception of Haku, who is very cool from the first time we see him in terms of colour. So all the staff in the bathhouse are in very warm colours, and the inside of the bathhouse is very rich. There's lots of reds. The higher up you go in that building, the more red there is, which could be danger or opulence, depending on which way you want to play that. And Haku is white and blue. He's different, he's apart, he's cool, he's elusive. He's also a river. I mean, we don't know that until the final scenes, but it's been built into his character design from the very start. But that's noteworthy, and that tells us something about him only in contrast to the other colours being used. And I think that's a much better way to look at that colour and read that colour than simply say Haku has some like blue detailing on his shoulders and he's a little bit sad that he doesn't remember his name or know where his home is anymore, so the blue equals sadness.
To hear more from Junior Cycle Talks, search for us on SoundCloud or anywhere that you listen to your podcasts.